It's now time to bring you our feature on the show today as we are looking at the energy sector. Now, the federal government is set to end petrol subsidy come the end of the first half of next year. That's June 2022. As they forecast, the government would also spend at least 2.9 trillion naira funding the subsidy regime till the end of this year. Now, this end to the subsidy regime comes as part of the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act. And according to the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, in the 2022 budget, government only factored in subsidy for the first half of the year. And in the second half of the year, the plan is to look at complete deregulation of the sector, saving some foreign exchange and potentially earning more from oil and gas industry. Joining me now to discuss this and much more, I have Adeola Yusuf, Team Lead Platforms Africa. Good to have you on the show today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
What's your first reaction looking at this date of the first half of the year 2022, seeing an end to the subsidy regime as factored by the 2022 budget? That's the only coverage we have. Now, we've had mixed reactions. There are some who believe that this is a timeline that would actually see subsidy removal happen. Others think that it's just a date on paper. Hence, we are not necessarily going to see that. But the most important element here, whether or not it is in June, July, August, or May, we need social cushions, especially for the fact that the landing cost of petrol keeps on going high as we see the oil price rally.
All right. You won't fault those that will belong to those two school of thoughts that you have highlighted, based on experience. We have seen consistent or persistent shift in the date of implementation of subsidy. So those that are thinking that that will not happen may be right. Those that are thinking that that will happen may be right as well, because there is no time better to do that now. You have seen prices of everything skyrocketing, and the cardinal reason for that is that the number of the amount of dollars Nigeria is making is less than the amount of dollars Nigeria is spending, and that spending is the bulk of a larger chunk of that spending is on fuel importation. You understand? So this is the best time to do everything. Even biscuits, those that are buying biscuits would have started feeling it. There is nothing in Nigeria now that inflation or the higher price has not affected. But I want to say, with utmost seriousness, to all sense of humility and responsibility, that the government should not only announce, a plan end, to that subsidy regime. The government should figure out the start orientation now, because the government needs all Nigerians to rally behind it in this very, very, important thing, because oftentimes we whatever expenditure we are doing are based on borrowing. We have kept borrowing. We are right. We are spending what we are not to spend on this first subsidy. You would have seen that a number of time government, previous governments have even made this, made this step, and Nigerians have resisted that step. Number one reason, as far as I'm concerned, is lack of orientation. If everyone understands the reason government should do this, I believe everyone will rally around the government. And
as part of understanding why government should do this, Nigerians are feeling a whole lot of pinch now. At this point in time where we expect another increment in the cost of energy, petrol, the next conversation is what sort of cushion should government have in place? Now, are we going to see improvement in mass transit system to cut the cost of transportation? Are we going to see certain incentives to ensure that the average Nigerian does not necessarily feel that much pinch? We are paying more for gas. We are paying much more for electricity. Yeah, and now fuel is also coming. So that inflation you talk about already heightened is going to almost triple if we are not careful in managing this ticking element we have here.
Okay, so there is a trust deficit in Nigeria, whether we like it or not. The government don't trust the government. Even among the government, so to speak, we don't trust. Citizen A doesn't trust citizen B. It has that lack of trust. For instance, I've cited it earlier. If a filling station owner discovers that number of cars that queued up to buy fuel yesterday, today is more than that of yesterday. He will not trust people. Immediately he's going to shut his gate. We too do not trust them because we know that they too, they can do anything. So immediately we see 3 or 4 cars parked in a filling station. Even if we are half tank, we are driving into, make sure that, so there's that trust deficit. Government needs to work on that first. Then government has lined up, according to what we have had, we have repeatedly had releases or rate releases from the GMD of the GGM of NNPCA, Malam Garba Din Mohammed, on a lot of programs that government has, the NNPC has lined up, because whether we like it or not, NNPC is a major stakeholder in all this that we're talking about. Okay, so they've lined up a number of programs. We've once had even the presidency talk about the mass transit. We've had them talk about plans they are doing, making on CNG. CNG is compressed natural gas for vehicles and all that. But what I want to say now is that we all know what is happening to even the gas sector now. The availability of gas, even the LPG, the liquefied petroleum gas.
We're still largely dependent on heavy imports, yet we have a whole lot of reserve.
Thank you so much. So a number of things have to be done, and particularly the local refining capacity. I don't, though it's a good news to hear, but I don't always like it when we want to depend on that.
I would like to take you on that now. Some say what we can have in the interim is have more modular refineries. Others also questioning what would we also see in terms of the conversation of full deregulation. What does that mean? Because to different people, it means different things. The NNPC still remains the sole importer of petrol into the country. And then now the last issue here, I would like you to also tackle, this is almost a four-headed sword we're carrying out here, is to, four-edged sword, is to also look at the fact that we have the landing cost of petrol. As at mid-year, had already reached 250 naira. We're still selling at 162, 165. What do you think will be the next price peg of petrol for the average Nigerian? Okay, truth of the matter is that as at few days ago, the price of Brent at the international markets has even surpassed $5 per barrel. So that is a very, very serious signal to what will happen at the local market. And with that, if we are removing the subsidy totally, the amount that will be, the product will be selling will be unimaginable. But I won't want a situation that we're going to keep all Nigerians at the tip of their seat now because of what we are still expecting. But I believe that if government orientates Nigerians very, very well. What peg would you put to that?
Okay, so it will if it's happening today, it won't be the amount we are buying fuel today that we'll still buy it. I won't want a situation that I'm going to say something that is going to affect the politics. Everyone is expecting to hear that this is the amount the petrol will sell. But sincerely, the fact of the matter is that if the subsidy is removed today, the amount you are selling, you are buying the product
might
today,
likely double.
No, it won't drop. It will go
double.
It will double. Yeah, it's likely to double. Yeah. Okay. But the most important thing is that we are already suffering it. If the government is able to orientate, let government open, let government be sincere. And another perspective to this quickly is that a lot of people are already reading. I've talked about the legal implication to fuel subsidy. I've talked about the business implication. Now there's a political undertone to it. A lot of politicians are already now saying that this government want to set a trap for the incoming government, and that is all that we have on the table.
It's a big conversation. We will just continue to wait and see as to what will play out, because this remains a pertinent issue at hand. Thank you very much for your time on the Breakfast Show this morning.
My pleasure always.